Chair, you are live.
Good evening, everyone. I want to bring this Planning Advisory and Adjustment Committee meeting of Monday, October the 30th to order, please. The first order of business is our land acknowledgement. As we gather today, I would respectfully acknowledge on behalf of the council and the community that the city of Pembroke resides on the unceded traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We thank the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. It is with this statement that we honor and respect the Algonquins on whose land we reside. Call the meeting now to order. First is approval of the agenda. Can I get somebody, please? Ian, seconded by Marcel. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. The minutes of September the 25th having been circulated, are there any errors, omissions? If not, I'll ask for a mover and a seconder. Movered by Marie Josie, a seconded by Ian. Anything to add? All in favor of the minutes? Carried. Thank you. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? Seeing none, we'll move on. Now, new business. Z11 2023, 588 Pembroke Street East, owned by Alex Plummer. Can we have any submissions at all on this? Ian or Owen?
No, Mr. Chair, no submissions nor inquiries were received.
Is there anyone who would like to comment on this? Would you like to comment on it, Alex, or?
No, I really don't comment.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay. So if we can hear from you then.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The applicant, Alex Plummer, has submitted a site plan proposing the construction of a semi-detached dwelling, which is 2 dwelling units, along with 2 secondary dwelling units for a total of 4 dwelling units at 588 Pembroke Street East. The property is currently zoned residential type 1 R1 by the zoning bylaw, which only allows for single detached dwellings. A single detached dwelling constructed in 1949 exists on the property. And according to the applicant's proposal, this existing building would be demolished to make way for the proposed new development. Regarding the neighborhood, well immediately to the south of 588 Pembroke Street East, it is largely made up of single detached dwellings in R1 zones. Pembroke Street East itself is lined with a diverse mixture of residential and commercial zoning, from R1s all the way through to R4s, and from local commercial to highway commercial special exception zones, as well as institutional zoning, all within a 1 kilometer radius of the property. Immediately abutting the property of this application is 580 Pembroke Street East, and further abutting it, 574 Pembroke Street East. Both of these properties, as most of you are familiar with, as they are the subject of recently approved zoning bylaw amendments, granting the exact relief being requested by the current application. Both of these properties now have newly constructed semi-detached dwellings, each with 2 secondary dwelling units, for a total of 4 dwelling units each. This proposed development will mirror the new construction found at both 580 Pembroke Street East and 574 Pembroke Street East. So the current property in question, 588 Pembroke Street East, easily meets and or exceeds all required R2 zone provisions for a semi-detached dwelling. These items are categorized in your report: minimum lot area, minimum lot frontage, minimum lot depth, minimum front yard setback, minimum rear yard setback, and minimum interior side yard setbacks, all met or exceeding the zoning bylaws requirements. As such, this application can be viewed as strongly in keeping with the intent of the zoning bylaw. Regarding parking, the zoning bylaw requires a minimum of 2 spaces per dwelling unit for semi-detached, and a single space per dwelling unit for secondary dwelling units. This means that for the proposed development, a total of 6 standard parking spaces would be required. According to Mr. Plummer's submitted site plan, the development can easily accommodate more than the required 6 spaces. However, relief is required to allow for these spaces to be in the form of 2 driveways, each with a width of 20 feet. Further relief is also required in that the spacing between the driveways, the zoning bylaw states that the minimum distance between 2 separate driveways on one lot shall be 25 feet. As the separation distance shown on the submitted site plan is 9 feet, 16 feet of relief would be required here. Both of these would be incorporated into the proposed site-specific zoning. The property is designated residential under the official plan 2016. This application is strongly in keeping with the intent of the official plan. For example, one of the statements in the official plan is that the city of Pembroke will encourage all forms of residential intensification that creates a potential supply of new housing units. And this shall be encouraged in the built-up areas of the city where there is sufficient existing or planned infrastructure, and that council's policy through this intensification of land use involving infill, redevelopment, and conversion of existing buildings, the city will continue to accommodate new residential units. So as the proposed zoning is proposing the intensification, as the proposed zoning is strongly in keeping with this direction in the official plan, as the proposed development constructed on existing residential land will contribute to intensifying housing stock in an already built up area. Further, the residential section of the official plan speaks to promoting efficient and pleasant residential environments. Within 1 kilometer of the property, we have 2 elementary schools, Highview Public School and Our Lady of Lourdes Elementary School, Kinsman Park and Kinsman Pool, Care for Health and Community Services, as well as ample highway commercial zoning along Pembroke Street East. Further, and related to what was mentioned before, the official plan states that all residential development shall be adequately serviced with municipal water and sewer services. The property has access to it is already serviced with full water, sanitary, and storm sewer servicing, and the requirement for a building permit to construct the proposed development will trigger the approval of the operations department to ensure adequate servicing capacity. And just as of note, the operations department has already forwarded in their comments some information for Mr. Plummer to follow. They have no other concerns regarding the application. The property being located directly on Pembroke Street East, which is designated by Schedule B of the official plan as an arterial road. It has very strong vehicular transportation links to both ends of the city, as well as for pedestrian traffic. The Pembroke Street East has sidewalks on both its northern and southern sides. Regarding the provincial policy statement, land use patterns within settlement areas shall be based on a range of uses and opportunities for intensification and redevelopment where this can be accommodated. This application promotes intensification by increasing the number of dwelling units provided on the property by 3 and simultaneously increasing the mixture of housing density options. Therefore, we are viewing this application as being consistent with the current provincial policy statement. And therefore, the planning department is recommending the approval of the zoning bylaw amendment for 588 Pembroke Street East from a residential type 1 zone to a residential type 2 special exception 36 zone.
Are there any comments by our committee members? Yes.
Well, my only comment, I'm thinking it's a no-brainer situation in due to the fact that we've already accommodated 2 other situations like this right next door. And actually, it's Mr. Plummer's to be congratulated for increasing the residential units necessary. That it's a little start, but it certainly is a start, and we certainly, from my perspective, I appreciate it. And I have no problem in moving a motion to support the planning department's recommendation.
Seconder to that motion, seconded by me. Any further comments? All in favor of the motion? Carried. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
Just a question.
Yes.
More of interest than anything else. They're going to have 2 units there and then 2 other units. How are you setting that up? Is it going to be basement apartments?
It is right now, well, it's secondary units, so we have the upstairs apartments and there's lower.
Yeah.
ones that are access from that.
Okay.
Any further comments? Not? Inform applicant who's going to do that, you know.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So, Mr. Plummer, your application will be heard at a public meeting of City Council the following Tuesday, which I believe is November 7th. That is for the public meeting of council. A bylaw will be before council at the following council meeting, which I believe is November 21st. So that's the timeline we're looking at. Should council pass the bylaw on the 21st, then we have the applicable 20-day appeal period. And after that, should that appeal period close successfully, then the application would be considered final.
Thank you. We'll move on then. Past decision update. Zone 10, 2023, 852 Pembroke Street West. Do we have an update on that, or?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So at our the last meeting of this committee, a single zoning bylaw amendment application was heard for 852 Pembroke Street West by Mr. Gerard Bergeron. Following this committee's recommendation to council, a public meeting of council on October 3rd occurred. And at the following meeting of council, a bylaw was passed, an amending bylaw on October the 17th, which means that the application is currently within its 20-day appeal period. The final day of appeal is November 8th. That is for the sole zoning bylaw amendment application. Additionally, a consent to sever application for 1000 Olympic Drive was heard for KI Canada, and two minor variances, one for 282 Christie Street by Sam McCrae and 183 Monroe Street by Nick Morrow. All three of these applications have successfully passed their 20-day appeal periods, which means that the consent is provisionally granted, subject to the conditions itemized on the decision that was signed and approved, whereas the two minor variances are now final.
Perfect. Let's send our next meeting. Does Monday, November the 27th, 23 suit everyone? I'm good. Seeing that there isn't any objection, that'll be our next meeting. Motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Marcel, all in favor? Good, thank you very much for everyone.
Before everyone,
Oh, yes.
before everyone disappears, this is not part of the meeting, but I'm sure